Good morning, Discover and Recover Yoga people. It is Wednesday, the 5th of April. Glad you guys are here. Thank you so much for zooming in. Again, my first name is Neil, last name is McGuffog, founder of At the Core. There's the sign back there. Welcome to this virtual session for Discover and Recover Yoga, D&R, DNR Yoga, where we discover that which no longer serves us. We discover and uncover things within our psyche, within our emotional and mental states, perhaps even in the physical body, indeed, for sure in the physical body. Those things, elements, aches and pains, thought forms that are no longer serving us on this path. And we recover by this process of movement, of mindfulness, and weaving in some meditation, movement, of course, in the form of yoga, mixing that up a little bit as we progress through this process. So glad you guys are here. Thank you so much for zooming in. This is what I picked up this week from the treatment center. I work at 3 days a week, working with alcoholics and drug addicts on this path in the area of Greenfield, Indiana. This is what popped up. A sheet describing guilt versus shame. It goes without saying, we have all experienced at some point along this journey elements of guilt and shame. It goes on to say, guilt and shame are not the same. Understanding the differences between them can help us work through our negative self-judgments. When we are better able to grasp the difference between healthy guilt, unhealthy guilt, and shame, we can begin to halt self-criticism and reject shame messages. Guilt is often experienced when we act against our values. Shame, on the other hand, is a deeply held belief about our unworthiness as a person. This particular sheet goes on to describe helpful guilt, unhelpful guilt, and then shame. And I'll just go through basically the definitions that are listed here. The definition of helpful or healthy guilt. Helpful guilt is the feeling of psychological discomfort about something we've done that is objectively wrong. Unhelpful or unhealthy guilt is the feeling of psychological discomfort about something we've done against our irrationally high standards. And then the brief definition of shame. Shame is an intensely painful feeling of being fundamentally flawed. So friends, I'm going to suggest you begin in any seated posture. I'm going to come onto the knees. I've got a meditation cushion between my hamstrings and my calves. That's a little opportunity to cushion. Another opportunity is perhaps here's a yoga blanket. Could be any blanket that can be folded up and placed between your hamstrings and your calves. If seated on the knees works well. If not, you can come onto the bum, legs out straight. You might find butterfly pose or legs crossed, cross-legged position. We call that Sukhasana. So as we gather in this seated posture, feel free to close the eyes because again, you are in your safe space. In your home, perhaps in the living room, bedroom, basement, someplace that feels secure, safe, sound, a space that is created to be judgment-free, competition-free. And as you settle in here, I will note this is being recorded and being practiced as big storms are rolling through central Indiana. I'm on the north side of Indianapolis. The window is slightly open, but it seems like the wind has calmed down for now. It may pick up again with some wind advisories that have been issued for this area. Thoughts and prayers out to those who have experienced the devastation of some of these storms that have been rolling through the Midwest, the mid-plains, these last 72 hours or so. Hopefully keeping people safe because of the warnings and letting them know that relief is there for those who have experienced the damages, the injuries, prayers, heartfelt prayers in that area. So as you get settled in, feeling the presence of your physical body in that seated position, nothing to overthink, to overanalyze. Please know shifting. You need to come out and rearrange your seated posture. Absolutely. As you become more aware of how you're showing up in this physical body, thank you for these vessels, these containers, which are our bodies taking us from point A to point B. We now turn the attention to the breath. I'd like you to start to notice the deepening of the inhale and the lengthening of the exhale. So full, rich, and deep breath through the nose, filling and expanding as much of the abdominal cavity as possible. And the exhale is that release. That is one tool. I'll continue to remind everybody of letting go. Let that exhale be a representation, a therapeutic way to let go of that which no longer serves. Perhaps the thing that you discovered, for me, it's some procrastination, some sloth, some envy. Looking for the exhale to be a way to help me release, recover from that which I'm discovering and uncovering, some of those characteristics, some of those character flaws, character defects, as we are referred to in the recovery world. And again, just a gentle reminder, I've been on this recovery path, alcohol-free for 30 plus years, working with a number of individuals, mostly men, as we do in the world of Alcoholics Anonymous. Men work with men, women work with women in the sponsor-sponsee relationship. And I have a sponsor, and I sponsor individual men on this path. And it has been an amazing path. The fellowship, the harmony, the connections, the experience in these past 30 years has been nothing short of phenomenal. Please know that those elements of addiction, things that we may obsess over, not only are alcohol, but a number of other things: work, anger, food, sex, shopping, exercise. All of these things, there's gambling, can be associated with an obsessive component of our personalities where we're driven and find ourselves repeatedly going back to some of those behaviors. For me, the alcohol was a detriment. It came in the form of binge drinking, where I could go maybe a week or two without a drink, or control drinking, which is an absolute absurdity. I think, okay, I've had one beer, now it's 45 minutes to an hour and a half later, I can have another beer. That type of thinking is certainly irrational. Normal drinkers do not think that way. And then when an opening came and I could see an opportunity for a binge, I took it, and it was ugly. Not each time, but many times. Hello, breath. Thank you for the deepening and the lengthening of that breath. All right, eventually, next in breath, let's sweep the arms wide and high. The palms will meet above the crown of the head, and as we exhale, we'll draw the hands to the heart space, acknowledging from the heart center what emanates: kindness, compassion, empathy, tolerance, wow, there's a key word, patience, forgiveness, but ultimately love, emanating and pouring forth from the heart center. If there's another idea, a notion, a thought, a purpose you'd like to bring to the top of the mind at this moment, sending some love, some light out to a loved one, perhaps somebody who's struggling, and prayers for those who have experienced some of the devastation, some of the injuries, the damage to property that's taken place across the Midwest in these last few days, whatever that might be. Making that transition to nostril breathing. So in the practice of yoga, we regularly refer to breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, also referred to as Ujjayi breath. And I'm going to encourage you, if you do anything cardiovascular-wise, that nostril breathing, and certainly help build lung capacity and lung endurance. So if you're doing a cycle, a bicycle ride, an indoor cycle, if you're walking the treadmill, jogging outside, going up and down stairs, practice maybe 30, 45 seconds of nostril breathing. Okay, friends, however you want to find your way onto hands and knees. For those who are on the knees, already it's very simple for me to float forward, coming into tabletop. If you're cross-legged, just flowing through cross-legged, or perhaps just draw the knees outside as we find ourselves hands and knees. Wrists are in line with the shoulders, knees right underneath the hips. Inhale, I'm dipping the navel low, lifting the gaze. We'll call that cow. Exhale, chin tucks and back rounds for cat. So that's the motion. Inhaling, the navel dips low, the chin tucks in. No, chin tucks in on cat. Yeah, that's the rounding. Inhale, the navel dips low, heart lifts. And then, yes, so continue that rhythmic, that kind of almost like a wave-like motion with the spine. Inhaling for cow, exhale for cat. Each inhale maybe draws the heart forward, opens up the chest. Each exhale, perhaps you can round a bit more through the upper and mid back for 3. Keep going, breathing steady into that for 2. Lovely, guys. And then on 1, you're back to neutral. I'm going to say you're back to normal. What is normal these days, right? Rather than describe normal. Okay, here we go. On an inhale, I'm taking this right arm to the sky. And then please, as you exhale, I'm going to thread that right arm underneath my chin, landing first on the right shoulder, followed by right ear, right cheek, right temple. Left hand might stay in front of the face. Maybe the left hand creeps to the front of the mat. Maybe the left hand floats to the low back. So some options as we have a shoulder opener here. Some will extend that left leg back. That's another option. Otherwise, left knee stays grounded. We'll hold here for 3. Right shoulder, right ear, right temple is on the mat, almost there for 2. Now on 1, I'm going to bring this left hand back in front of the base, press into that left palm, unfurl the right arm back to the sky, and then we're back to table. Okay. A little wardrobe check. All right, same thing, other side. So what we do on one side will always mirror unless I suggest. Inhale, the left arm lifts. So if there's a twist, as you exhale, I'm threading the left arm underneath the chin. First to the mat is left shoulder, followed by left ear, left cheek, left temple. Right hand does something. It may creep to the front of the mat. It may float to the low back. Option from here is to extend the right leg back as well. Otherwise, the right knee stays grounded. So options, choices, I want to call them out for you. Nice. Left ear, left cheek, left temple. We'll hold for 3. Big breath in. Maybe get a steady and long breath out for 2. All right, on 1, right palm back in front of the face. Let's press into it. Unfurl that left arm back to the ceiling. And then we're back to table. Okay. Little reset here. All right. We're in tabletop. And I'm just going to begin to spin. What I'm doing is taking my hips and brushing them across my heels, taking the shoulders out over the wrists. In whatever direction you go, you might go counterclockwise first or clockwise. We're going to switch in just a moment. So find the spin and just simply allow that to unfold. That's it, guys. Beautiful. So the spin is taking place. We'll keep going for 4. Brushing those hips maybe a little closer to the heels for 3. Maybe taking the side bodies out a little further to the edge of the mat for 2. Nice. Now please reverse it, take it the other way. As if you had a marker on the belly, releasing any tension, stiffness, tightness in the wrist, shoulders, knees, and hips. Here we go for 3. Breathing steady to that for 2. All right, now on 1, guess what? You're back to neutral, back to this neutral table. Let's find one thing else to do from tabletop. Extend this right leg to the back of the mat. So think about right leg parallel to the floor, foot, toes down, foot is flexed, heels towards the ceiling, left arm comes forward. So we'll call this spinal balance, maybe spinal extension. Drawing the core to the spine, see if we can find that center of gravity as we find some stillness. If you get a little wobbly, that's okay. We'll hold for 3. Think about long through the left fingertips and that right heel for 2. Now please on 1, everything's back to table. Okay. You learn from these sessions, I like to, as I come into a position of neutrality, I kind of give myself an opportunity to reset. It's a little shimmy. Same thing other side. Left leg extends to the back of the mat. Now, yeah, option is to float the right arm forward. If it feels more comfortable to keep the right wrist right underneath the right shoulder, absolutely. Otherwise, we have this extension. I'm flexing that left foot, really extending through the right fingertips. Again, lower core is engaged. We'll hold for 4. Maybe a little wobbly. That's okay. Breathing into that for 3. Here we go for 2. Now, please, on 1, everything goes back to table. Big toes to touch towards the back of the mat. I'm going to walk the hips back, walk the hands forward, child's pose. Now, opportunity for child's pose. If the forehead doesn't make it to the mat, no worries. You could take one fist on top of the other, let that forehead rest on the fist. Or maybe one palm down, the other palm on top of it, let that forehead rest on top of the back of the hand. If you have a prop in the form of a yoga block, maybe you could use even a book, you could put that forehead on top of a book. So pretty restorative posture here will hold. Wonderful opportunity to take a full, rich, and deep breath into the nose. And then as we exhale, I'm fond of saying, let that shit go. That which no longer serves, resentment, the bitterness, the anger, the fear, just let it go. All right, friends, let's go ahead. Draw those shoulders over the wrists on the inhale. Bring those knees back underneath the hips on the exhale. Put the toes and lift hips, downward dog. So hanging out upside down, bending one knee and then the other. We have the opportunity to pedal it out. I might explore downward dog. I might take the feet out wide. Maybe even take the hands out wide. Experiment, explore with downward dog. Slight internal rotation of the forearms. You might feel a nice spread across the shoulder blades. We'll hold for 3. Heels are low, hips are high for 2. Now do this, please. On 1, inhale to the tiptoes. As you exhale, let's come back down to table. Back down to table. So you're on hands and knees. The suggestion, if you have a book, a block, or even a blanket, take it to the right hip, and let's come up into mountain pose on our knees. So I've got this block on my right hip as I slowly draw this right foot forward. So the right foot comes forward. I'm going to see if I can keep right knee, and the top of that right foot in alignment. Some will bring this left knee back a little further. This is about as far as I'm going to bring my left leg back. Arms will lift towards the ceiling, as we'll call this extended posture, extended arm posture. And then please draw the hands to the heart center as we take left elbow to right thigh. Left elbow to right thigh. If the spirit moves you, you'd like to intensify this, left toes curl under, left knee lifts. Otherwise, for me, I'm going to keep my left knee low as we go for 3. Perhaps a steady gaze over that right shoulder, right elbow, almost there for 2. Good job, guys. Now I want to come back to center. We're back to the heart space. Once again, sweep our arms wide and high, lifting up. And then as we exhale, I'm going to bring the right hand down. And I'm going to let it connect to this block. You might, again, connect it to a blanket, maybe to a book. And I'm going to let that left arm bisect the left ear. So we're getting a beautiful opening on the left side body. I feel the obliques toward the left side up on the right as we hold for 3. Breathing staying into that for 2. Now, eventually, right arm comes up to meet the left. And as I exhale, I'm taking left hand front, right hand back. Left hand is front, right hand back. So we're teeing the torso, long through those digits. Now, inhale, left hand high, right hand goes low. So the right hand might connect with the left butt cheek, maybe left hamstring, perhaps maybe the block. We'll hold for 3. Breathing into that for 2. Now with control, let's curl both hands to frame that right foot. All we're going to do now is bring this right foot back, table. Okay, I'm just going to switch sides. Now the block, the book, or the blanket is on my left hip. Back up to mountain pose on the knees. Left foot draws forward. Left foot draws forward. I've got left shin and left top of that left foot in waist alignment. Maybe bringing that right leg a little further back. You want to get a little deeper into lunge. Inhale, let's lift and lengthen the arms. Here we go. Exhale, hands through heart center. You get to right elbow, left thigh. Right elbow finds left thigh. Option to curl the right toes under and lift off the right knee to intensify this. Otherwise, hold the twist. We'll breathe into this for 3. Probably still gazing over that left elbow, left shoulder, almost there for 2. Now, please, on one, untwist. We're back to the heart of the matter. Inhale, we'll sweep the arms wide. Here we go. Right hand is front, left hand is back, and we twist. A little awkward span long through the digits. We'll hold for 3. Breathing into that for 2. Now you get on 1. Right hand high, left hand low. Right hand high, left hand low. Maybe again, the left hand might connect to that block. Right butt cheek, maybe the right hamstring. We'll hold for 3. The breath, that nice ujjayi breath, that nostril breathing steady for 2. Now on 1, forward both hands to frame that left foot. Right toes curl under, right knee lifts, right foot comes up to meet the left foot, forward fold. Standing forward fold. Slight bend to the knees, please. Nice guy, looks good, guys, yeah. Take an opportunity to maybe bind opposite hand to opposite elbow. I've got a few students that interlace the hands behind the head. That doesn't work so well for me. So you can explore, or just arms are dangling in ragdoll like. We'll hold for 3. Slight bend to knees if there's any issues with your low back for 2. Now, eventually, I want to place your palms to your shins. Let's inhale for a half leg. So I'm drawing the crown of the head towards the front of the head. Exhale, fold it back in. One more time. Palms to shins, half lift. Exhale, please let it go. Whatever it is. All right, with the arms heavy and the chin tucked in towards the chest, let's roll up the spine. Take your time. We're stacking one vertebra on top of the other. Let me know if there's blood pressure issues or vertigo. Shoulders come above hips. Ears come above shoulders. Arms will continue. We'll find extended mountain pose. Ooh, yeah, my head's cut off. I'll move back a little bit. Nice. And then eventually, let's have that right hand grab that left side bend to the right. So I'm opening up that left side body. A beautiful side bend to the left, to the right, and then back to center. Now it's that left hand grabs right wrist side bend to the left. Back to center. One more time, please. Side bend to the right. Hello, left side body. Back to center. Side bend to the left. Back to center, and then release. The wardrobe check. So guilt versus shame. A little quick story. We're all stories. We all have stories. They're in the fabric of our being. There are some stories we're reluctant to share. I get that for sure. But nonetheless, through our walk on this planet, stories continue to unfold. Sometimes they're covered up with things that keep us from remembering them. But nonetheless, this is from childhood with my mom, the alcoholic, bless her heart. She's been gone since 2009, but doing the best job she can with the tools she had, alcohol, and she did acquire about 16 or 17 years of sobriety, bless her heart. But this was a memory from growing up. It's the finger wag. Shame on you. Shame on you. So that was a woman who grew up in Ireland in that Roman Catholic era back in the 30s and early 40s. Shame on you. But I guess as a young child, as a young kid, I was cloaked in shame. Didn't realize it at the time, or didn't really know what it meant from an emotional or psychological standpoint, but nonetheless, that memory comes to mind. So mountain pose, somewhere on the top of the mat. All is well. Revisit your intention, revisit your purpose, your ideas, the notions, the concepts that come to mind that can help you discover that which no longer serves. Can you sit in quiet? Perhaps maybe put pen to paper in a journaling capacity. Perhaps working with a therapist, an outside counselor, a trusted friend, advisor for seeking to uncover and discover those elements that can keep us from being the best version of ourselves. Okay, friends, from the top of the mat, I'm going to suggest first that we put the weight into that left foot and we draw the right foot back. So we're going to set up for warrior one. So I've got the feet on a railroad track. So I've got a nice distance between the instep of my left foot and the instep of my right foot. Even the right foot is back. In this attempt, with hands and hips, I'm attempting to draw right hip forward, left hip back. Right hip forward, left hip back. Keeping maybe the hips semi-square to the top of the mat. Just full disclosure, both hips for me are artificial. So finding that square is a little challenging as I reach the arms towards the sky. Biceps by the ears. Classic Virabhadrasana 1, warrior 1. Notice if you can maybe get a little deeper into this posture, we'll lift. If you had a string on the sternum, a string on the solar plexus, you're lifting the heart high, maybe the gaze lifts, we'll hold for 3. Hopefully the breath is smooth and steady, breathing into that for 2. Now please, friends, on 1, lower the hands and sweep this right foot up. All we're doing is making the transition. Okay, now the weight to that right foot, I'm bringing the left foot back. Same thing other side. So the feet are on a railroad track. I've got a little bit of an angle to that left foot. My right foot is pretty much parallel to the long edge of that. Now with the hips on the hands and hips, I'm trying to draw left hip forward and right hip back. Arms by ears. Heartless. Virabhadrasana 1 on this side. Right foot forward, left foot back. Full rich and deep breath in. Maybe the exhale can get you a little deeper into this posture as we hold for 3. That's you guys nice. Breathing steady into that for 2. Now I want to slowly bring the arms down. Left foot comes up, mountain pose, top of the mat. Okay. We'll check in, a little reset. I know, remember the reset button? You know, sometimes it's on devices. Actually, I was working to reset my garage door code, and there's a reset button to doing that. It'd be nice to have a reset button for life. Okay. All right, here we go. Once again, now that was Virabhadrasana 1. We're going to try Virabhadrasana 2. Adjust the camera. Weight to that left foot. I'm going to bring the left foot a little more to the center of that, and the right foot is back. I'm going to think about left heel to bisect the instep of that right foot. Now my torso is facing the long edge of the mat as I draw left arm forward, right arm back. Left arm forward, right arm back. We'll call it warrior 2. I'm going to try to keep a nice bend into that left knee, a lot of energy outer edge of this right foot. Now on the inhale, let's sweep the left hand high. The right hand goes low, maybe wraps around the low back. Some will slide it down that right leg. If you'd like, maybe the gaze goes to the outstretched left fingertips, maybe the outer edge of that right foot. We'll hold for 3. Breathing into that for 2. Now please release back out to the warrior 2. Left arm is front, right arm is back. Now I'm going to take left forearm to left thigh, and this right arm is going to bisect that right ear. So think about long line of energy from the outer edges of that right foot to that right middle finger. Beautiful, guys. We'll hold here for 3. Breathing into that for 2. Now on 1, I'm going to come down and frame that left foot. Now all I'm going to do is lift the left toes, and I'm pivoting to the right side of the mat, wide-legged forward fold. So you'll hear some teachers say, oh, the feet need to be parallel to the short edges of the mat. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say you can have a nice, maybe a nice angle to the feet. I've got my wrists right underneath my shoulders, and I'm letting the crown of the head drape to the floor. Nice. Now, friends, all we're going to do is change positions. Start to walk the hands over towards that right foot. Now, the right foot's more to the center. Let's rise on up, cartwheel this left arm up and back, warrior 2 on this side. So think about it. Hopefully, my verbal cues are enough so you can see this or hear this. So we got right foot forward, left foot back. Thinking about torso is facing that long side of the mat. Now, inhale, the right hand shoots higher, left hand goes somewhere, exalted. Oh, yes. Beautiful. We'll hold for 3. Breathing into that for 2. Now, please release out, back out to the warrior 2. Now take that right forearm to right thigh and the left arm over that left ear. So here we go. Long line of energy from the outer edge of that left foot to the left middle finger. Beautiful, guys. We'll hold here for 3. Breathing into that for 2. Now please, let's untwist. We're framing that right foot. Now same thing. Right toes lift up. Let's pivot on that right heel back to that wide-legged forward fold. Any residual tension, any unnecessary stiffness, tightness, please let that shit go. Eventually, I'm taking that right hand underneath the nose, inhale the left hand high. So we have a little twist. That's those kind of big twist. And then release. Left hand goes where the right hand was, inhale the right hand high. And then bringing the right hand down. All right, please. Right toes point back to the front of the mat. All we're going to do, friends, is bring that front foot back to table. We're going to lower child's pose. So as these DNR practices, and that sounds like Department of Natural Resources, where somebody said, do not resuscitate. I want you guys to resuscitate. As these discover and recovery yoga practices unfold, my hope is that my verbal cues are clear enough. You could do this with your eyes closed. In case you're not seeing the screen well enough, please put something into the chat. Let me know how I can be more communicative, more clear in the communications and the verbal cueing. Right now, child's pose. Wonderful opportunity to get full, rich, and deep on the inhale. And dare I say, on the exhale, it's another opportunity to just simply let go. Let it go, whatever it is. All right, friends, we're coming back up to table. All right, we're going to make our way down to our seated postures. You can float onto the right hip or the left hip. We're just going to swing the legs around to the front. Find ourselves in what we call staff pose. We'll visit this. You'll see kind of a pattern into the practice, so we'll do ways to kind of mix this up over time. So I've got seated posture. I want to sit like this, but I know that yoga helps me to kind of find that regal posture. Hands come back into heart space, a little check in at the heart center. On your next in-breath, let's sweep the arms wide and high. And then here we go, gentle seated forward fold. Ooh. So we did some of this, standing forward fold. Here's the version of seated. Fellow hamstrings, fellow low back. All right. An inhale may seemingly lengthen. It's almost as if I had a string on the solar plexus of the sternum to draw the heart forward, and then exhale and go a little deeper. That's it. All right, now let's walk hands up the outstretched legs. Back to this. Okay. Little power pose coming up. I'm going to suggest you bend both knees, soles of the feet on the mat. Hands are down by the hips. I like my fingertips pointing forward. Some practitioners like the fingertips pointing backwards. From this position, we're going to inhale to lift the hips, reverse table. The gaze may be to the ceiling, maybe over the tops of the thighs. I've got some students that let the gaze go towards the back of the mat. It doesn't work for me. Don't have that cervical spine flexibility. So we're here in reverse table. We'll hold for 3. Hello, shoulders. Hello, triceps for 2. Now, please, on 1, slowly let the bum float to the mat and slowly lift the heels, boat pose. Option for modification is grab the hamstrings, maybe place the hands down by the hips. But the full expression, the full posture, if you'd like to find that balance on the booties, we hold for 3. Breathing steady into that for 2. Now, on 1, I'm going to slowly let the sole of the feet come back to the mat, hands back down by the hips, reverse table. Hello, triceps. Hello, shoulder heads. Let the gaze go where it's comfortable. We'll hold for 4. Breathing steady into that for 3. Almost there for 2. Now, please, the bum lowers again. The heels relift, and we revisit boat pose. Next, we'll hold for 4. Modifications available. Breathing into that for 3. Nice job, guys. Almost there for 2. Now, with control, soles of feet back to the mat. Last time, hands down by the hips, reverse table. Oh, yeah. Nice. Big breath in, maybe a steady breath out. If you like, you can come up onto the tiptoes, work those calves. We'll hold for 3. Those guys nice, almost there for 2. Now 1, heels will relower if they were lifted. Bum finds the mat. Last time, boat pose. So classic boat pose. I forget the Sanskrit term for this, but find your variation, find your modifications. We'll hold for 5. As you guys really stay into this for 4. Whew. Almost there for 3. Here we go for 2. Now please on 1, slowly lower all the way down. Reach the arms overhead, please. You can flex the feet, maybe point the toes, give the ankles a little rotation, let the fingers wiggle, the wrists get into the action. So I would suggest doing this stretch. I'll call this a morning stretch. Inhale to really lengthen, but please, as you exhale, draw the knees into the chest. That's a grabbing. I'm going to say 97% of the people grab the shins. If it feels better to wrap the fingertips around the knees, you have an option. Maybe a little side-to-side rock. I've got a few students that rock it a little front to back. If you do, tuck the chin towards the chest. But eventually, as we return to neutral, arms out like wings, knees to the right, gaze is left. Knees to the right, gaze is left. Option is to take this right hand to the outside of that left thigh and give a little nudge. So in other words, I'm placing my right hand to the outside of that left thigh and maybe drawing those thighs a little closer to the floor. Otherwise, arms are out like wings. We'll hold for 4. Big breath in, big breath out for 3. Almost there for 2. Now please on 1, come back to center. I'd like you to rebound. Because I'm so tight to the hips, I oftentimes have to lift my shoulder blades in the back of the head off of the mat. But eventually, once the bind is made, I return shoulder blades from the back of the head to the floor, arms out like wings, other side. Knees left, knees is right. Opportunity to take the left hand to the top of that right thigh for a little nudge. Soften the throat, soften the jaw. We'll hold here for 4. All is well, guys. Breathing into that for 3. Almost there for 2. Now, please, on 1, come back to center. Rebind, meaning grabbing knees, grabbing the hamstring, grabbing the shins, only to go ahead and take both legs stick straight to the ceiling. Both legs stick straight, as well as the arms, where the fingers and toes, wrists and ankles get into action. Get into movement. You know that phrase, if you move, you improve. Movement equates to improvement. Now I'm going to suggest you start to shake hands and legs, feet and arms. So we're just shaking it out, shaking it out. You can go as vigorous as you'd like. Nobody's watching. Keep going for 4. Shake that shit out. Keep going for 3. Because I'm almost there for 2. Now 1, release the soles of feet to the mat, hands down to the sides of the body. Are you feeling a little tingling through the hands and the feet? If you do have a pillow or a blanket, you'd like to put it underneath your knees. That's an option as we start to extend the legs out. If it feels comfortable, some students like to keep the knees bent. I've got some students that do butterfly pose. So we're entering the resting period of the practice. If you have no pillow or blanket underneath the knees, that's wonderful. That's okay. Maybe think about right ankle, right corner of the mat, left ankle, left corner of the mat, hands down to the sides of the body, palms up. A little more receiving of energy, palms down, a little more grounding, and we soften. I call it finding the Savasana sweet spot. If you'd like to take maybe 2, maybe 3 full, rich and deep breaths into the nose, and the exhale is going to help us get seriously more settled, more released, more grounded into our resting posture. So please, friends, you have arrived. We'll spend a few minutes here, and as you do, as we do, as you are nestled into Savasana, an opportunity to simply revisit this idea, this theme of guilt versus shame. Again, a gentle reminder, guilt and shame are not the same. Understanding the differences between them can help us work through our negative self-judgments. Guilt is often experienced when we act against our values. Shame, on the other hand, is a deeply held belief about our unworthiness as a person. This particular sheet describes an example of helpful guilt. Chris hits somebody's car in the parking lot and feels guilty. An example of unhelpful guilt. Pat forgot a coworker's name and feels terribly guilty about it. An example of shame. Jamie feels like a worthless person who is only taking up people's time and wasting space in the world. Causes of feeling, causes of helpful guilt. Helpful guilt is caused by actions or behaviors that break objective definitions of right and wrong. Unhelpful guilt is caused by actions or behaviors that break irrationally high standards. Shame is caused by an innate sense of being worthless or inherently defective. A few more minutes, please, friends. Sensation of harmony and tranquility enveloping the body, sense of well-being, peace of mind, wrapping itself loosely and comfortably around the body as a way to reassure you're on the right track. The discovering may feel a little uncomfortable, painful perhaps, the uncovering of some of those elements, some of those issues that my teacher said are in our tissues. Thank you, Nikki Myers, for that phrase. The issues are in your tissues, but the act of recovering will be so beneficial, so powerful as we recover, seeking the best version of ourselves so that we may be of maximum service to those in our midst. Okay, friends, in Savasana, I'm going to suggest you take the right hand out to the heart, the left hand just below the belly button. So we'll nestle in these two important energy centers, the right hand just at the heart center, the left hand just below the belly button. Where the suggestion is, and as I'm fond of saying, what comes out of my mouth is simply suggestions. Start to deepen the inhale. Not only will the heart expand, the chest lift, but so will the belly. And the exhale is that gentle release. You can feel the torso ebb and flow, rise and fall. So reintroduce those diaphragmatic breath cycles, full, rich, and deep on the inhale, heart and belly expand. Exhale is that gentle release. Couple more times, please. Okay. Some practitioners like to keep the hands at this place if it feels better as you return to your quote normal breath cycle. Others return the hands back down the sides of the body. Your option now is to start to move the fingers and toes. Wrists and ankles. If you like, maybe move the head from side to side. We're just returning coming back to some physical movements in the body, purposefully, intentionally. But eventually, on your next in-breath, draw both knees back into the chest. That's going to be our on the back bind, all lying down on our back supine. So you've got the thighs drawn into the core. You're probably wrapping the fingertips around the shins, maybe the knees. Maybe return to a little side-to-side rock, maybe even front to back. But eventually, the suggestion, here we go, is to draw yourself up to seated. You can rock and roll your way up to seated. You can come out to the side. The cross-legged may be working. I'm going to come to that. My original seated was on the knees, but now I have a meditation cushion under my bum that helps lift the hips a little bit while lowering the knees. So you can sit on a blanket, you can sit on a bolster, on a pillow, if it feels good. Some will sit directly on the mat. A little opportunity to recess, reconnect with your purpose, your passion, your intention. And maybe it's a contemplation of guilt versus shame. Let me know if there's questions about that. I'm happy to answer, happy to connect. And please, friends, as we draw the hands to the heart center, here it is an acknowledgement of this ancient practice. Look at what we can do to help us discover, uncover, and recover that which no longer serves us, helping us to move into a space of recovery, knowing that there is so much that we can do to be of service, self, to others. And in that traditional fashion, we close. Please know the divine light, the teacher, and the spirit within me, indeed, with a bunch of gratitude, and hopefully showing up in this virtual space with you guys humbly and authentically, and hopefully with a better understanding of guilt versus shame, bows to the divine light, to the teacher, and to the spirit that dwells within each of you all. Namaste. Peace, y'all. Drink lots of water. Find that circadian rhythm when you find sleep patterns. Blessings. Thank you so much for support of Discover and Recover Yoga. See you next week.